Hello guys, it is Asia Nicole and we are back with week 3 of surviving the family system. And this week we are talking about the protected man in the family system. And what we're going to be doing in this study is we're going to be understanding the role of the man whose behavior creates pressure while others soften, excuse, or absorb whatever it is. So, why this role matters is because in some systems, the person creating the pressure is also the most protected. And with this particular person, have you ever dealt with a person where, let's say, you know particular things about this person, let's say accidents or things that none of his other family members know, and he's giving you the truth of all of these things, but he's giving different versions of the truth to other people. And that takes it into the next point, which is his behavior may be explained more than it is addressed. And one thing about this is that if you have ever went to a man's mom, his sister, his brother, his aunts, whoever you have went to in that man's family, and all they have to say is, oh wow, that's crazy, I didn't know that he was like this, they are going to always protect their own. And sometimes it can be true that certain people didn't know certain things, but most of the time they're protecting him, and they don't want to give you too much information to the point where you start putting things together, you start questioning what it is he told you, because now you're getting a different version of whatever it was he told you from this other party. Which goes to the next point, which is the woman affected by the pattern may be expected to carry the impact quietly. And if I'm being quite honest, that was me at one point. In my most recent relationship, I was the one who absorbed everything. I was the planner, the fixer, the emotional absorber. I was the structure in a lot of things that happened in our day-to-day lives. And so now we're going to get into who is the protected man. Protected man is the person whose inconsistency, avoidance, or lack of responsibility creates pressure while the family system works to soften the consequences around him. And the funny thing about this is the same way I am teaching this right now, this is literally my current life in reality. So while I am teaching you guys, I am starting to see the eruption of me removing myself as the stabilizer, the fixer, the emotional absorber, the just everything, just the structure of it all. I'm starting to see how it has crumbled with the main person who was very avoidant. And because whether you're his girlfriend, wife, whatever it is, you're going to be able to see who that person really is. And once you start to call them out on whatever it is they're avoiding, whatever it is they lack in, being inconsistent with, whatever it is, they don't like that. And that's just the truth of it all. And so when you go to the family about it, they will look at it like, okay, is she trying to divide us? What is happening here? And so if they feel like that you are trying to divide them, then what will happen is they will start creating scenarios, storylines, narratives, whatever it is they can about you. So that way, to him, it's being looked at as, oh, you need to get away from her. She's causing you too much stress. She's doing this and she's doing that. But not realizing you are the structure in the relationship. You were the one who was handling bills, car payments, anything that had anything to do with paperwork, whatever it was, because that other person could not handle it. Here are some common patterns that you'll see in a person who is being protected by their family. Number one is he avoids direct conversations when pressure arises. That means that, let's say that you're having a serious conversation about your child and you're letting them know, hey, this is what I feel, this is what I need you to know, this is how this is being perceived to me. And while you're having that conversation, they'll make it seem like they're listening, but in reality, they're really just waiting for you to be done so that way they can leave. So that way they don't have to face the accountability of the conversation, be consistent with whatever it is you're talking about. They can go to where no one is holding them accountable. They can go to whoever it is. They know that that person doesn't require what you're requiring from them. Which also ties into number two, he may depend on others to explain or soften his behavior. And we can even say that, let's say you guys got into an argument and you're trying to figure out what is his mind frame about this. He's not talking to you. So what is your next option? Go to his family, which really your first option should be to pray, most definitely. But the thing about it is, when you're inside of it, it's very hard to be able to just really sit down and say, hey, God, I need your help on this. Because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll let that person do all of these things and we'll constantly be asking, hey, God, I need signs. Hey, God, I need signs. When all of these are signs right here, every single one. When you're going to that person's family member and they're telling you, oh, well, you don't have to worry about that. He's not going to do anything. You actually should worry a lot. You should worry. Which goes into number three. He may use silence, stress, work, or conflict as a reason to delay responsibility. It has truly made me realize that no matter how loyal you are, no matter how much you cook, no matter how much you pretend to play the role of a wife, if that man has already gotten everything that he has wanted from you, he's not going to see marriage with you, especially if you have a child with him. Because in his mind, as men say nowadays, if he has that baby by you, in his mind, he has won. And I've heard this myself. Which ties into number four, which is the focus often shifts from what he did to how others react. And for me, that was one of the main things that was a very hard thing for me. And truthfully, it used to always piss me off, if I'm being completely 100% honest. It would always piss me off how no one would ever see what it was he did. And he was always very good at hiding it as well. That's another thing about the protected man in the family system. They're very good at hiding it. They're very good at doing whatever it is to get a reaction out of you before you make it to wherever you're going. I can give you a prime example. There was one time where we were headed somewhere and he pretended like he was on the phone with another woman to get a reaction out of me. And around this time, I was learning how to control my emotions better. And I was learning to just not let every little thing get to me anymore, because I was realizing that I'm not in control of changing you. I'm not in control of how you feel about me. I'm not in control of what you do. I'm not in control of what you say. I'm not even in control of how your people see me. That is all on you. And so, in order to try to get a reaction out of me, he made it seem like he was on the phone with another woman right before we got to his mom's house. And what was so funny about that is a couple of minutes after we had picked up his mom, his phone had rung and it was on vibrate. And I had laughed in that moment, because You tried so hard to get a reaction out of me because you're starting to see that I'm pulling back emotionally. And now, and now you're starting to see that, oh, I can't get her to react the same way. Let's see if she'll care about this. And it's like, that's so weird and just overly weak-minded to do. Because once you have to start pulling reactions out of someone, that should tell you that, hey, maybe this relationship isn't the best for me and we may need to end this. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't have a choice and I couldn't leave, because I could have. But at that time, I didn't have anywhere to go, and him and his family knew that. So for them, they loved that I was basically isolated with him. Which goes into this next point is accountability is treated like pressure instead of maturity. One thing that you're going to have to learn about men is that they love the idea of accountability. A lot of men do not like actual accountability. And for me, the person that I dealt with before I had moved in with him, we would always have conversations and things. And I remember it was one specific time that we were on FaceTime, and I had asked him, I said, do you like that I hold you accountable? And I remember he told me, yes, I love that you hold me accountable because it keeps me on my toes. It pushes me to be better than who I am now. And it basically makes me an overall better man. And when you actually get into the reality of accountability, a lot of people cannot handle that. A lot of people will fold under pressure, horrible pressure at that. Especially if it's coming at every single direction, they're going to fold immediately. And so this is how the system protects him. They'll use excuses, number one, which is he's stressed. That becomes a shield. Number two, his actions are reframed as misunderstanding. Number three, they'll blame shift, meaning that they'll take it off of him, place it on whoever they need to, so that way they can say, oh, well, if she wouldn't have did this, then, this wouldn't be happening. Or if they would have did that, then we would still have this. Number four is silence. Avoidance is allowed to continue. And this is something that is so funny to me now, because when I was still inside of this system, silence used to irritate me. It used to make me cry. It used to make me question things. It used to make me just feel like I was losing my mind, truthfully. And now, silence is just peace. Silence is okay. Silence is okay, well, whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do it. Because it's not affecting me anymore. And when you're in it, it's so hard. It's so freaking hard because you're constantly wondering, what are they thinking? What are they going to do? Who is he texting? Why is he so quiet? He's in the room all the time, distracting himself with his phone, and he won't interact with me. He won't love on me. He won't show me any emotions. And when he does show me emotions, it's very hot and cold. It's very, one day we're having a blast. The next day he's withdrawn emotionally. So it's like this push and pull, which takes me into number 6, which is performance. With the protected man, their performance is like their bread and butter. And that's such a funny way to put it, but it's the truth. Their performance is like their bread and butter. As long as that image and that performance is intact, they can do whatever they want. But one thing that I have learned is that just like in theater class, when you have performers on the stage and the audience, normally the audience should react. Normally the audience should laugh, cry, do whatever it is the audience is supposed to do. But once that audience stops giving in, once that audience stops reacting, once that audience stops doing whatever it was doing, they lose the performance. It doesn't hit the same. It doesn't feel the same. It actually feels 10 times worse, because now you have to try to figure out, okay, what can I do to make her move? Okay, what can I say to get her to open back up to me? What can my family do to reel her back in? And which goes into the very last point, which is triangulating. And this is something that I had learned like at the tail end of the relationship. And it's so funny to think about now, because when you really start thinking about how men will triangulate a woman, it's so sick. It's so twisted and sick. You have the man at the top, and then you have the two women that make the base of the triangle. And they're both leading to him. And when you start to see that this man has been triangulating you the entire time, it definitely makes you look at things a lot different. It makes you wonder, okay, what was he telling her? Okay, what didn't he tell me? Okay, let's go and ask him. Because another thing too about that triangulation system is that while you and him are talking, and if you and her are talking, that other woman is still going to be going to him. Which is also why in the protected family system, you have to know who, how, where, and when your business is going to. Because if you don't, you'll somehow, in some form or fashion, you will still end up in a triangle. Even when you think that you aren't in the triangle, somehow they are still able to include you in said triangle. This is the emotional cost for women. You may feel responsible for understanding him. You may begin explaining his behavior to yourself. You may lower expectations just to keep peace. You may feel guilty for asking for consistency. And the very last one is you may confuse patience with carrying what he refused to carry. This whole list explains my entire almost 2-year relationship. It explains it to a T. Because when I say I lowered my expectations horribly, I lowered them horribly. And that's one thing that I don't think a lot of us talk about, is that when you're dealing with a protected man in the family system, you start to see it as, oh, well, that's just how he is, and, I'm not going to say anything. No. When you stop speaking your mind, when you stop saying how you feel, that gives them more reign to do whatever it is they need to do. And I can use myself as a prime example. After I had my baby, Cam, we were always in the house. And so for us and for him, he would do this thing where he would stay out from 6 p.m. till about 1 to 2 a.m. in the morning. And some nights he would come in, I would still be up, and I would say things to him, and I would tell him, you need to let me know when you're going to be coming home late, and, all of these things. But of course, he doesn't care, because number one, it's late. Number two, he's probably drunk from whatever he was drinking. And number three, he's trying to go to bed so that way he doesn't have to hear your mouth. And those last couple of months in that relationship, it made me realize how isolated that I truly was. And another thing is that it made me realize that because we were staying in the house so much, it gave him free reign to do whatever it was he wanted to do. Sneak around and create this whole other life with another woman without me even knowing about it until months later. He was able to use his family as a way to leave my baby's car seats at their house. He was able to just do so many things. And now I'm starting to realize why so many women say, don't ever forget about yourself when you have a child. Don't ever forget about yourself. Because the more that I stayed in the house, the more that he was able to get away with. It got so bad to the point where he would come home from off the road, take him a shower, grab the key, and leave. And it even got to a point where he started bringing the girl to the house. And like, I would never go outside to even check. And so not only did I realize how overwhelmed and just isolated I truly was, but it started to make me realize that this is going to take a toll on me, especially with me being in the house 24/7. I'm doing the same thing every single day. I'm not getting out of the house. The only time I was getting out the house was to go to appointments and coming right back home. I wasn't being able to, go see anyone or, do whatever it is I wanted. And, I had that choice, but at that time, I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom. He was the one who was providing all of the bills, and he was the one who was able to say when he gave money, how he gave money, how much he gave. Like, it was always this huge thing of control, and there was like so many umbrellas under it. The honest reflection is that grace can be beautiful, but grace was never meant to become a hiding place for repeated irresponsibility. And what that statement is saying is that don't ever let grace confuse you with protecting the man. Don't ever let that do that. Because once you start constantly extending grace, they're going to constantly expect that. Once you start lowering your standards for a man, they're going to continue to do whatever it was they were doing. And it's not going to change. No matter how much you yell, no matter how much you cry, no matter how much you whine and complain to his mom and his sister, his aunts, his cousins, his brother, no matter how much you complain, it's not going to change. How you survive this role. Number 1 is you measure behavior by patterns, not promises. Number 2, you let direct responsibility stay with the person who created the pressure. Number 3, do not accept secondhand explanations as accountability. Number 4, separate compassion from emotional labor. And number 5, require clarity without becoming consumed by the response. And with this survival kit, you're going to need a whole bunch of prayer. You're going to need prayer, God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. You're going to need it all. Because one thing that I had to realize, I couldn't do it by myself. I remember I used to cry. When I was pregnant, I used to sit on the floor and cry because around that time, I had to hide my pregnancy from people because that person didn't want people to know. And it was so crazy to me because I'm like, why are we hiding something that is supposed to be a joyous experience for me? When this is something that we have always talked about. When this is something that we both, I thought, were excited about. And I remember, I will never forget this moment where something had happened, and I remember I was sitting on the floor and I was boohoo crying my eyes out. And I remember I told God, I said, God, I need your help because I can't do this. And here we are, a year later, and I am finally at peace. I'm in a new environment. I'm not in that relationship anymore. I'm here with my baby. I don't have to worry about any hot and cold. I don't have to worry about people constantly lying. I don't have to sit here and worry about what's going to be the temperature for today, because God fought so hard for me to get out of it. He fought so hard. He fought so hard on my behalf. The week 3 takeaway is sometimes the family knows the pattern. They just need someone else to keep carrying the impact. And the 3 things that I'm going to leave you with is Accountability belongs to the person who created the pressure. Compassion does not require emotional exhaustion. And patterns reveal what words may not. And patterns reveal what words may try to hide. And one thing that I'm also going to leave you with is that if you don't have a relationship with God, I urge you to get one. Because if you're in a system like this, you're going to need it. You cannot do it on your strength alone. I tried. And it had me wore out. It had me losing my mind. It had me questioning everything that I have ever grew up knowing. It had me questioning my morals. It had me questioning my standards. It had me questioning a lot. And the first thing is you have to start with taking accountability for yourself. You have to start by saying, I chose this. God did not send this person to me. I chose this. Even before you get married to that person, even before you have a baby. The signs are always there. So next week, we're going to be talking about the mother role in the family system. You really don't want to miss that one because that one is going to be a really, really good one. So I pray that this video blesses whoever it needs to bless. And I pray that you guys have an amazing week. And I will see you guys in week 4.